Let's talk to Simone.
This call's priority. Try me later.
Okay, no one wants to talk to us. We can talk to Joseph. We'll say this game is a lot of talking to people, but the characters are really good, so it's, they're very interesting, so it's not, like, too difficult.
I'm sorry you had to see that wreath, Nancy. It's disgusting.
This is one creepy kidnapper, that's for sure.
Let's hope the kidnapper just did this to scare you.
Like I'm not scared enough? Like I don't know time is running out?
The phone's been ringing off the hook all morning. I don't know how the press got a hold of this, but they're all over it like ants on a picnic.
Where did those missing posters come from?
I can't say for sure, but I can make an educated guess.
Are you thinking of a certain Hollywood agent we know?
Can you believe the way she diverted all of the attention away from Maya and used the poster to promote Brady as the big hero? This shouldn't be happening. It's all backwards.
The police told me Nicholas Falcone is known for using extreme tactics to further his political causes. Why are you letting him use the lobby as his headquarters?
Nicholas has been hanging around this theater since he was a little boy. I know how torn up he is about the theater. This'll be over soon enough, and then he'll go home. I don't think he's dangerous, for gosh sakes.
Gotta go now.
Don't let the turkeys get you down. Don't touch that projector, dear. It's a temperamental old beast.
Okay, let's see if we can talk to people now.
Nancy, what's the 411?
You didn't tell me kidnapping was part of Activism 101.
That's all hearsay, Nancy. They got no witnesses, no testimony, no nothing.
So you have or have not used kidnapping to further your causes in the past?
I am not an eco-terrorist, and I would never orchestrate the temporary disappearance of anyone who wasn't in on the plan and down with the cause.
Maybe you'd better think about being in on the law and down with the truth, Nicholas.
All right, Officer Nancy, chill out, will ya? I'm on your side.
Tell me about your relationship with the police.
All I know is they like to dig through my garbage and follow my van. Does this face say America's Most Wanted to you?
Joseph told me that the St. Louis Historical Society is in the process of trying to declare this building an historical landmark.
They've been in that process for years. It's all just a big wad of red tape, a bunch of bureaucratic hocus pocus. Had it's about action, not paperwork.
Catch you later.
On the flip side.
Hello?
Ned, it's me.
Nancy. Bess called and told me what happened with Maya. I've been worried sick.
Did she tell you what the police said?
About the 24-hour delay? Yeah, she told me. But I have faith in you, Nancy. You've solved plenty of cases before without help from the police. So let's get down to business. Who are your suspects?
It seems there were only 4 people in the building at the time of the kidnapping, besides Maya and myself. Brady Armstrong, Simone Mueller, his agent, Nicholas Falcone, a political activist, and the caretaker, Joseph Hughes.
Any hunches?
Not yet. I've got a lot of work to do.
Call me anytime. I'll try to stay close to the phone.
By the time I finally got to talk to Simone Mueller, she had heard all about the kidnapping and canceled the premiere of Vanishing Destiny.
Sounds like bad news travels fast around old theaters.
That's just the thing. Simone didn't seem to think Maya's kidnapping was bad news at all. She kept calling it a great opportunity. She kept saying what fabulous publicity it's going to be for Brady.
Sounds like she knows how to turn a profit in any situation.
The question is she just responding to the situation, or did she have a hand in creating it in the first place?
No flies on you, Nancy Drew. Sounds to me like your detective mind is in high gear.
According to Joseph, the St. Louis Historical Society has been scrambling to get the Royal Palladium declared an historical landmark.
And that would prevent the demolition?
Right.
So what's the holdup?
Joseph thinks someone downtown is stalling.
Maybe someone who wants the demolition has been greasing some palms.
Probably. It's a shame because Joseph seems to think they're close.
I wonder if this kidnapper is just trying to buy a little more time. What does Mr. Falcone have to say about the Historical Society?
It was pretty cynical. Said the whole process was a bunch of hocus pocus.
Perhaps Mr. Falcone is using cynicism to disguise his true feelings.
I've got to think of a way to get this demolition stopped.
Well, the police aren't being much help, but couldn't you try contacting the owner of the building? I'm sure he or she would be willing to postpone for a couple of days. I mean, what's the rush?
According to Nicholas, his name is B. Thompson, and he won't talk to the press.
I wonder what he has to hide.
His building firm is called Wave of the Future.
Catchy. I wonder what he has against the present.
Ned, I just remembered something. Joseph used the phrase Wave of the Future when I first met him. He was talking about the remodel of the theater in 1956. Do you think it's a coincidence?
I don't know, Nance. If Joseph turns out to be the owner of the theater and the guy behind the demolition, I think it'll be fair to say you've seen everything.
Harry Houdini must have been quite a character.
What makes you say that?
Oh, it just sounds like he was so generous and passionate about his craft. Everyone loved him.
Any theories yet on what he did with his half of the theater?
No, but I highly doubt he was generous enough to give his half back to old J.J. Thompson.
That wouldn't have been an act of generosity anyway. It would have been a lapse in judgment.
There's this cool machine in the lobby that makes souvenir keys. You can make a key in any shape and call it the key to your heart. I wanted to make one for you. Not that this is any time to think of souvenirs.
And maybe after you solve the case, Detective.
Well, besides the fact that I don't have time for distractions, the machine is out of order.
Phew, that's a relief.
What's that supposed to mean?
Nancy Drew, you know the key to your heart would be much too big to carry around on my keychain. I'd probably throw my back out.
Good point, Mr. Nickerson.
Anyway, it's the thought that counts.
Bye, Ned.
Call me soon.
Hello?
It's me again.
Hi, Nancy. I've got George here, too. Bess filled me in, Nancy. Any developments?
I'm just searching the theater, questioning suspects.
And?
When I spoke to the police about Maya's press pass, they said that Nicholas is known for using extreme tactics, and that he might even have been involved in a staged kidnapping last year in Nashville.
You don't think Maya could be mixed up with him somehow, do you?
No way. Maya expresses her politics by writing about them. You know, the pen is mightier than the sword. She and Nicholas Falcone don't even speak the same language.
I think you're right, George. But Sergeant Ramsey said I wouldn't have any credit with the police if I joined forces with Nicholas.
Who said anything about joining forces? After all, he's still a prime suspect. But that doesn't mean he's not a valuable source of information when it comes to the theater.
She's right, Nancy. As long as he continues to shoot off his mouth, you want to be around to take notes.
Brady said Simone wants him to appear wholesomely smoldering to his public. What in the world do you think that means?
Well, wholesome makes me think of apple pie.
And to smolder, according to my trusty dictionary, is to burn slowly from the inside, without flame.
So, he's a sweetie pie on the outside, but too hot to touch.
Oh. Did you have to bring this up with Bess here, Nancy?
It seems like the two things don't go together. One is safe, the other is dangerous.
Interesting. Maybe that's Brady's whole dilemma. He doesn't know whether he's a good guy or a bad guy.
Which is exactly why he can't be trusted.
When I arrived at the theater this morning, someone had delivered a funeral wreath.
What?
Isn't that creepy?
You don't know who it was from?
It was from the kidnapper, I assume. The note said something like, "Wouldn't you rather stop the demolition than plan a funeral?"
Since when do kidnappers have the time to special order flower arrangements?
Apparently this kidnapper isn't afraid of the limelight.
Look at the bright side, Nancy. If you find out who sent that wreath, your case is as good as closed.
I met Nicholas Falcone, the leader of Hadit. His organization is camped out in front of the theater, demonstrating against the demolition.
What's the deal with Hadit?
Nicholas says he's sworn to slay the dragon of corporate generica.
All in favor of men who slay dragons. Say aye.
Honestly, Bess, what are we going to do with you? Nancy, what in the world is generica?
I think it's a term for what this country would be like if suddenly it all looked the same.
Oh, you mean if it became generic? Like a bar of soap that's just called soap.
Right. Hadit believes that protecting historical buildings is key to preserving our national character.
That sounds noble.
Yeah, except he practically jumped for joy when I told him the kidnapper's motive is to save the theater.
Uh-oh. Sounds like you better keep an eye on him, Nancy.
Nicholas told me that his grandmother did a lot of the artwork inside the theater, but that J.J. Thompson, the original owner, never paid her or even gave her credit for it.
That's terrible.
I can see why he's so dedicated to saving the theater then.
Yeah, I'd like to learn more about this J.J. Thompson.
Maybe you can help Nicholas get his grandmother the credit she deserved.
I told him I'd keep my eye out for anything that would prove her connection to this place.
I wonder if JJ left any of his personal effects behind.
If he did, I'm sure they're gone now. His kids must have cleared the place out when they remodeled in 1956, a few years after he died. That's when it became a movie theater.
You never know, Nancy. If there's one thing your detective work proves every time, it's that old buildings are the keepers of old secrets.
Let's just hope this building lives long enough to tell.
Okay, you two. I'll talk to you soon.
Good luck.
Be careful.
Okay, sorry about that. I was pretty behind on phone conversations. So, now let's talk to Simone and Brady. I think we should be able to talk to them now. Now that we've talked to everyone else, let's go to Brady's dressing room first. Oh, still not here. Okay. Let's go to Simone's dressing room. If we still can't talk to her, then we'll just have to, figure something else out.
Have you seen the posters? Aren't they fabulous?
That picture of Maya is the one from her press pass, isn't it?
Yes. Thankfully, she's photogenic.
That poster is just an advertisement for Brady.
Maya's on the poster. It says she's missing. So what's your issue? Brady's out plastering those posters all over St. Louis and every podunk town for 50 miles. He's due back at any time, though, for the press conference.
Press conference?
I've invited the press here today to report on Brady's commitment to solving this case. You know, a few questions, a few photo ops, no big deal. That funeral wreath was awful, wasn't it?
What do you know about that wreath?
I had it moved out front for the press conference. We want the press to know just how heartless this kidnapper is, don't we? Then it's all the more fabulous when Brady saves the day.
How long have you been Brady's agent?
I discovered him on an electric spring morning 6 years ago. He was working the original Coney Dog stand on Sunset Boulevard. It was pure luck. I was craving an all-beef Frank at 7 a.m. He's been the jewel in my crown ever since.
I think your phone's about to ring.
Bye now.
Okay, so Simone is having a press conference today, and during that press conference, everyone will be away from their rooms, and we can snoop. So that is what we want to trigger. Let's try Nicholas.
I got the number. I left it in the ticket booth. This woman isn't a Houdini herself. She's the widow of one of Houdini's cousins.
Maybe she knows what's happened to Houdini's half of the theater. I'll call.
Eustacia Andropov. Okay, let's call her. So it's 1-813-555-3247.
Yes, hello.
Hello, is this Eustacia Andropov?
Who else would it be? Everyone else is dead.
Oh, Mrs. Andropov, I'm sorry to bother you. I'm trying to find out some information about Harry Houdini. Is it true that you're his cousin?
Who wants to know?
Oh, I beg your pardon. My name is Nancy Drew. I'm a detective working on a case in St. Louis.
Harry was only my cousin by marriage, but my husband is dead, and so is Harry. So I guess that makes me nobody's cousin. Satisfied?
I'm researching Mr. Houdini's ownership of the Royal Palladium Theater. Would you know anything about this?
He owned it. Half of it anyway, for a few months. Then he died. Does that help?
Do you know what happened to his half? Did he sign it back over to J.J. Thompson?
Return it to James Jehoshaphat? Mr. Stupendous? Not on his life. Losing that man was Harry's greatest escape.
Did someone in Houdini's family inherit the theater?
Harry made a plan to give his half of the theater to someone he admired. A young magician, I assume. Perhaps a protege. I remember my husband telling me this.
Can you tell me anything more?
More? I'm 96 over here. I don't exactly have time to burn.
I know it was a long time ago, Mrs. Andropov, but this is terribly important. My friend is in danger, and finding out what happened to Houdini's half of the theater may be my only hope of saving her.
Call the Library of Congress. Ask about the Houdini collection. There must be something in all of those letters. You tell that Sherman Trout, Eustacia said. You're not dead yet, Shermy, so get up and make yourself useful.
The Library of Congress. You don't happen to have that number, do you?
Well, I should have this letter from Shermy around here somewhere. Cat food coupons. Vincent Jacques repair. Dear Eustacia. Here we go. Library of Congress, Washington, D.C. 202-555-5000.
Thanks, Mrs. Andropov. You've been a great help.
Save it for my funeral.
Okay, so now let's call the Library of Congress.
Manuscripts.
I'm trying to reach Sherman Trout, please.
Speaking. How may I help you?
Hi, Mr. Trout. My name is Nancy Drew. I'm a detective working on a case that involves Harry Houdini and the Royal Palladium Theater in St. Louis. Eustacia Andropov recommended I call you.
Ah, yes. Eustacia was most helpful to us when we were assembling our Houdini collection. I presume you'd like to have a look at it?
Yes, please, Mr. Trout. I'm very interested.
Fine. Well, you'll just need to register with the library when you get here and fill out a request for the materials you wish to view. When your request has been processed, the materials will be delivered to one of our reading rooms where you can view them.
Mr. Trout, please let me explain. Unfortunately, there's no way for me to come to Washington, D.C. to do research. I'm hoping you could help me find a document.
Well, Miss Drew, I'm sorry if you have logistical constraints, but please understand my own limitations. The Library of Congress currently holds over 40 million items, contained in 10,000 separate collections. It's the largest and most comprehensive library in the world. I simply don't have time to run research errands for the individual citizens.
Mr. Trout, if I don't solve this case in a matter of hours, The building I'm standing in will be demolished, and an innocent 19-year-old girl, a friend of mine, may lose her life. You may be my only hope.
Why is your friend in danger?
She was kidnapped by someone desperate to save this building from demolition.
And what can you possibly be hoping to find in the Houdini collection that would help matters?
Mr. Houdini was part owner of the theater, and I'm trying to find out who inherited his half or what became of it when he died. I'm hoping Houdini might have discussed it somewhere in his personal documents. If I can prove that the current owner is not legally the full owner, then maybe I can get the demolition stopped and save Maya.
I see. Well, this sounds urgent. I suppose I can take a look.
That would be such a help, Mr. Trout. If you find anything, could you overnight it to me at the Royal Palladium?
Well, I certainly can't send you the document itself. It's a historical artifact now. But I could send you a slide. What's the street address there, if I find anything?
It's 1330 Washington Avenue, St. Louis, Missouri, 63101. Please send the package in care of Nicholas Falcone or myself, Nancy Drew. I can't tell you how grateful I am, Mr. Trout. You might just be a lifesaver.
Miss Drew, I assure you, Sherman Trout is a man of his word.
Thanks so much. Bye.